Hey guys, welcome back to Three Swords Productions. If you're new here, I'm Steven and this is Nathan. Tonight we have some good meta games for you guys. Kinnemon versus Law. Ready to get started?
Let's go for it.
Let's do it. Whoa. All right. Got some new stream setup. Basically, so I'm still new to flipping over to the correct one here. Bear with me.
But we should have some hand cams to
Oh yeah,
get some better insight to what's going on here.
Juicy hand cams there. All right, guys, let us know in the comments if you have any issues or suggestions about changes for the hand cams. They are new, and if you find them just distracting, let us know that. We could definitely go back to the old format. But all right, let's go. Looks like I'm holding Killer on the Kinnemon side here. That's a pretty good card opening.
Killer's good. Killer's good.
Yeah, it's going to be able to protect my early Yamato, as well if I can find an Okiku. Killer and the Capone will definitely go a long way to protecting those cards, so I am thinking I'm going to keep that hand.
Yeah, I think it's a solid hand. The early Yamatos always are good, so you've got that plus Searchers, so feel good about that.
Mm-hmm. All right, and on the Law side, like, what do we keep over there?
We kept a kind of medium hand with Bonnie being the thing that can start to find more things in accrue value for us.
Okay.
We had a couple of events which usually feel pretty bad, and I think a lot of times you're generally not looking to find those until the very, very late game. So hopefully it doesn't come back to punish us too much.
Okay. I did pick up the Okiku, so that is certainly a play this turn. But I really like just jamming the Yamato. It's going to be a big attacker and pressure, basically anything that you play for the rest of the game. It'll also be very hard for you to equip Dawn to it, your leader, and swing on it. So I feel very safe with my Yamato on the table. So that's why I established the Yamato instead of the Okiku there.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Also gives me that immediate value. Where Okiku is actually really solid, certainly, but I like establishing the Yamato there because it's a bigger body.
Yeah, you also want to pressure Law's board since they want to meet the character limit on board for 5 creatures, 5 characters. You definitely want to be attacking it down and pressuring it in ways, and you did that there with the Yamato play, so I think it's good too.
That being said, I do see you're holding Jet Pistol. Jet Pistol's a pretty unique card for that deck. I'm typically not playing around it just because I think it's a strong card worthy of respect, but Law typically is very tight on Dawn. And so having the Dawn open to just be able to Jet Pistol something is quite difficult to do.
Yeah, I've definitely found that with the card.
Yeah. Also, I like that starter Zoro. Is that I assume that's the Whitebeard tech in there?
I think so. Yeah, it's just the one of, but
makes it a little bit.
You search so much, you're able to find stuff like that. So
okay, that's pretty nice. Yeah, definitely. Okay, I assume it hasn't come up in any of our games or anything.
Not a whole lot, no.
Yeah.
Just being a one of.
Not a ton of Zoro versus, or sorry, not a ton of Law versus Whitebeard.
Yeah.
On the channel here, and we're gonna go 7K across at Kinnemon's face, and we will just take that. Kinnemon definitely looking to go to 3, so the first couple of swings are just easy takes for us. And coming back, we are going to untap and draw. Didn't quite see what we drew. Got a Momonosuke there.
Momo's good.
Okay, so got quite a few lines open here.
I think you still want to take the line of attacking down a Law board. There's a Jewelry Bonnie that definitely needs attack, so you can decide which one you want to attack with that. But attack that down and supplant your whatever thing you want to start attacking more with. Probably the Okiku.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think establishing the Okiku is going to be super important here. So whatever we do, I think it should involve the Okiku here. Leaving the Bonnie open for the Kinnemon swing there was quite profitable for the Kinnemon. That feels good. Getting Bonnie off the table is always a feel good, and being able to do it with basically no resistance is just great.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can predict it, so the Bonnie will just die. That's fine.
Yeah, but you have to just let it die. You can't also sacrifice your blocker for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we actually are going to establish our own Bonnie because Bonnie less important to us, so we're kind of holding Momonosuke, so saying, hey, maybe later on in the game I will be able to find a clutch spot where Momonosuke is going to be able to tap, get a card, but then you can't immediately pressure it back. So we're going to hope for that and just play the Bonnie out right now because we actually don't mind losing the Bonnie. There aren't an incredible amount of targets in the deck, that are insanely relevant. And we actually picked up X-Drake from that, which is going to be probably the best Supernova card in the entire matchup.
Yeah, X-Drake is super good in this matchup.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be feeling that at some point. But now back to my side. We're still not finding a whole lot of our searching ability. No Namis, no Dodans, no more Bonnies or anything like that. So we do have to play this turn, not filling up to our character limit, but instead trying to contain what's going on. And the Jet Pistol is the thing in the hand that we have to start considering. Where is this going to go? With an Okiko and a Yamato still out, it's definitely reasonable that you could choose either one of those targets and make this turn a bit better to try and play down. You can also decide to play something like the 4-mana Zoro there and try and swing down on the Yamato, maybe pressure it that way. Holding Jet Pistol for as long as you can sometimes feels good. Sometimes you'll eventually deal with a lot of the board that's going on, and you'll find that one thing that you couldn't answer for the Jet Pistol to take down. For instance, if you were to play a 7-drop on this next turn, I could play the Otama plus Jet Pistol play to really take care of that and clear what's going on. So pressuring you with attacks right now is the plan.
Well, I definitely think you go into these matchups knowing where the Jet Pistol lands. Especially here, you like you said, the 7-drop kid is quite difficult for you to get over. It being a 7K body, you're often just swinging 5Ks over and over. That can be quite intimidating, but also the Odin itself is going to be almost unremovable for you. So having Otama Jet Pistol lined up for the Odin is going to be really good for you. Now, that does drop an Okiku on the table, but that is just kind of the price you have to pay to get the Odin away.
And I am lining up the Zoro play.
Just going to go wider here, playing the Makino makes sense to me.
I'm going to have to commit it to the board at some point, so might as well use the Dawn now and give myself options in the future turns here for better lines.
Yeah, and that's a Punk Gibson pickup, which is super good for me. That one feels great.
Yeah.
So here I am just going to kind of think about how many attacks can I make that are really strong and gets cards out of my opponent's hands. They've been really lackluster on the table. I've already been able to deal 2 damage to them. They're down to 4 cards in hand. So if we can break the board this turn, the game is essentially locked up. I mean, Kinnemon's still at 4 life. Law had a really slow start. They've not been able to get any advantage. The cards they're playing are just dying to my tap abilities. So we just want to continue that advantage tree and just keep going. So here, every time we swing, every time it gets a card out of his hand or gets a blocker or whatever it might be, those are wins. So.
Yep. And coming across for 6 on the Zoro, so it's even. I have the option of either blocking, countering out, or letting it die. I don't like letting it die. It's like kind of the only thing I got going on. He does have X-Drake in hand, so I have to consider that. But I like countering out here to at least commit the Yamato to the attack. Then I believe Yamato would pretty much attack every time once this is still alive.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yamato swings. Even if X-Drake can come down and just kill that for free, Yamato still swings on it. Like I said, the card either out of his hand or the blocker are better than giving him the one of the 2 life that he has, because we can just make an alpha swing on a single turn to get the life out of his, away from him. So I'm not incredibly worried about that. It's just about getting resources away. Now, we did have another play that was not X-Drake lined up. We could play Momonosuke. We could also play Killer. We could attach to Killer, and we could leave open Punk Gibson. Those were all fine lines in addition to the X-Drake. So if he did let his Zoro break to my Yamato swing there, and he kept his Chopper on the board, we did have a backup plan. So that's important to think about too when you're trying to, milk your opponent for as much as you can. You need to think about, okay, well, what if they actually do the thing you don't want them to do? What's your backup play? And is it as strong as just simply landing X-Drake?
Obviously, you felt pretty good there. Board comes out clear, so I think it's correct. But
I think I got the best of every world where you wasted 3 cards, and then I also got to X-Drake. That definitely felt good for me.
It probably should have been correct for me not to block there in that case.
Yeah, I think you at least just want to let it die without blocking.
Yep. So now the plan is I have to really build back up this board. We got a Nami to add Zora to hand, which is cool.
Yep.
I want to come across the table for 5, just to pressure down the Ukiku. He's got to be getting low, I imagine, on counter power, so I don't imagine he'll save the Ukiku, which is a big deal for me. That's the thing really terrorizing most of my board.
Yeah. Well, I do want to talk about that because I think that you swung 5 on the Okiku there, and I let it die because I assumed the Zoro was coming down and you were going to have a couple of attacks with it, and I wouldn't be able to discard quite enough cards to protect the Okiku, so I
Yep.
did just let it die on an easy attack. The only card in my hand that I really want to discard right now being the Scratchman of Pooh. And so that is why I let the Okiku fall, just so I wouldn't lose any resources to it at all. But I think there's a world where, I actually test you on the Zoro, you end up not having it, and I am able to keep my Okiku for free.
Sure.
So I don't hate the line of trying to protect the Okiku either. It is a valuable chess piece here. Can you imagine going into the next turn where I still have that card?
Oh,
Your
God.
blocker law
I'd be
just
so bad.
you essentially lose the game on the spot. So, that is certainly a consideration. How do you play these matchups?
Um, yep, so now we built back out the board a bit, but our hand,
Yeah.
like we've said, is just 3 events, and events are so difficult for this deck. They feel so clunky. The Nami had to add the 1 Radical Beam. There was no other option there, so
Yeah.
that was the only option.
Now the Nami play was very strong, especially
Yeah.
looking next to the Trafalgar Law that you were holding, quite powerful. Now on Kinnemon's side, we're holding 2 Odins, Momonosuke, Killer, and Punk Gibson. The Odins are a fine play here. Now my opponent did just take the turn and got a little bit of advantage back, and I'm being quite greedy here, and I'm just swinging on his board over and over, which is kind of what Law wants you to do. So I'm a little bit falling into the trap of trying to continuously pressure Law's board without actually pressuring their life total, and so you're able to see those top deck Nami, top deck Makino, or not Makino, but Curly Dedan, and just generate a lot of advantage out of nowhere because I'm giving him the time.
Yeah.
And so right now I'm considering, okay, do I give him the time and play something else, or do I play the Odin and go for lethal next turn? And I think there's a lot of merit to both plays. We're going to see what I do here.
I'll say, from my side, I'm very happy for you attacking me this turn.
Yeah,
I
well,
need cards in hand, otherwise I'm not going to function next turn.
You definitely do.
So I can understand that.
And here I am still giving myself, playing the Momonosuke and tapping it takes me on a 7 Dawn. So I no longer have the Dawn open for an Odin. So I'm deciding, hey, I'm going to play the Killer. I'm going to keep the Odins in hand. I think I can win with just the Extra Rake and the Yamato. I don't actually need to play Odin. So I'm going to play as towards the Punk Gibson as I can to kind of make my opponent, who's already been very down on resources, I'm going to make them feel even worse with the Punk Gibson, and that doesn't give them the opportunity to play around the Odin. Now, knowing his hand is Jet Pistol, I do think that there was a lot of strength to playing the Odin if he's not holding Otama for the Odin. But again, Jet Pistol is not really a card that I play around in the Law matchup. Maybe that's wrong since new deck lists are playing them, but it has felt awkward in his hand this whole matchup, I think. So
Yeah, definitely haven't had the time for it, and I think this will probably be the turn where I'm trying to use it to flip back to my favor here. So it'll be about time to pull the trigger, but we have to establish what we're going to do first. I consider the Nami attack on the Momonosuke, but an option available to him here would be to block with Killer, draw his card, and then he could Paradise Waterfall his Killer to then draw a card again in the future and block again. I don't know that play is necessarily good, but if his hand isn't good, it does start drawing him into different things, which is a problem for me.
So here I think I kind of misplay the Killer a little bit. There's at least one attack where I could block the Killer, and I'm valuing keeping the blocker over anything else, and then you'll see the Jet Pistol actually get me, and the Killer can no longer activate its ability. So that was definitely a misplay. Now, I am valuing the Paradise Waterfall very highly, and I don't know that I would just give it away for the cheeky Killer blocks, just because I value the card as the Paradise Waterfall, so I don't know that I want to trade it for a random card off the top of my deck, which is, what I think that play
that's fair.
Right?
Was there ever a world when you looked at those 5 cards with Momonosuke that you considered adding Kazuki Toki instead of Paradise Waterfall.
Now it's another blocker, but the Paradise Waterfall serves the purpose that I wanted last turn, right? So
Mhm.
what it does is lets me untap either my X-Drake or my Yamato, which is quite powerful. Now one of the things that you can do with this deck is Paradise Waterfall to restand your Odin. Which is incredibly powerful in this
Yep.
late game. Now I chose not to play the Odin, and obviously if I had played the Odin, I wouldn't have the Paradise Waterfall. That was a thing Momonosuke got me, but um, I'm still looking at the Paradise Waterfall and saying, man, this card is really strong on the X Drake right now. It's also really strong on the Odin next turn.
Yep.
So I'm kind of valuing it both ways. But again, I think we're just in defend or board mode.
Yeah, I think so too.
And so this swing for 6, I am going to over counter a little bit here. And I didn't block with the killer there. That's important. I could have done that and kept my Paradise Waterfall, but I chose not to. So we're going to swing
Yep.
Nami on Momonosuke.
Yeah, now that the Paradise Waterfall's out, I don't have to worry about that play.
I'm still holding Punk Gibson, so I'm very confident in my ability to protect the Yamato that's tapped. And unfortunately, Jet Pistol does come down to kind of ruin my day there, but that's okay.
Yep, and I still want to keep pressuring his hand. I still feel like he's countered out of a lot of things, so some of his cards in his hand definitely can't counter, but unfortunately he does have something still here with the Punk Gibson to get out of this attack.
Now you can see here kind of the weakness of not playing the Odin, right? Is like we're going to go back into the next turn. Law was able to break my board. Now, can you imagine if I had kept the Yamato untapped and played the Odin? I would have
Yeah,
I would have a lot of
you
pressure
would be
going
far
to next.
ahead here.
Yeah. So I think I overextended by attacking. I think I overvalued my board being strong enough to get around yours. But obviously you had a lot of attacks, which
Yeah.
is kind of the Law special, really.
And we also talked about that Jet Pistol being a pretty big surprise, so
Yeah.
you also didn't expect that play to come in.
Yeah, I think it's a different game for me. Certainly, if the Jet Pistol didn't happen, but those are the kinds of things that can come up. So
Yep. And you see me Dedan here for a Beige, and then establishing that I probably don't want to exactly play it, but instead hold up this one Dawn for an event. One of these Radical Beams. I want to make sure I don't die this turn.
and we're gonna pick up the.
Is it another? It looks like a 7-drop there. Is that what that was?
It was a 7-drop kid. Yeah, that's what it was. So our hand's a little bit beefy. That's okay though because we are planning on attacking this turn. I have a 6K and I have Kinnemon, of course. And what you don't have are any blockers.
Yes.
So I am going to go 7K to get the Radical Beam out of your hand.
Yep, and I feel like he knows about the Radical Beam. He's going to play around it, so best to use it here and really force him into a weird line if he options to go for it.
Now this allows me to still play Odin. It also allows me to still play my 7-drop blocker. One line that I didn't take this, but definitely was open to me. Swing 7 with my Kinnemon leader, then put 1 Dawn on killer, then play the 7-drop kid, and I would have 2 really powerful blockers. Untap, go to the next turn after getting the Radical Beam out of your hand, and you're down to 4 cards. You're going to draw to 5. But I don't love those plays because, again, it's like that exact thing where you're just giving Law so much time to gain value. Like every time you pass the turn, they're getting to tap Bonnie. They're getting to, add Curly Dedan back to their hand. They're getting to like do these crazy plays where they might even use their leader ability to put the 5-drop blocker Law back in their hand and then pay 5 to replay it because those are things that it can do. But instead we say no. We're going to swing 7 with Kinnemon, 7 with Yamato, and then we are swinging for 9K with Killer to finish the game out.
Yep, I think I could have got out of it had I not added Beige with the Dan and instead added a Tama.
Yeah,
that would then have another counter power to get out of this, but
yeah,
is what it is. Obviously, I didn't expect quite the killer attack, so you're pretty heads up to do that. It's not a card I put to the forefront of my thought.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, I knew 2 cards out of your hand. You're going to have 4. 9K swing means that you have to discard 3, 2 of them being 2Ks. So your card quality has to be really high.
Yep.
Which definitely, it sucks that I had to basically put the entire game on that play. But I think I lost so much advantage by not playing the Odin that I think that's kind of where we ended up. Honestly, is that we needed to take that riskier line because passing back to you meant that you gained so much advantage on the following turn.
Yes.
It's so difficult for me because at that,
Yeah, I would have really started going along.
by that point, the game is pivoting so far out of my control. So I kind of recognized, hey, something needs to happen right now. And unfortunately, I kind of punted towards the end of the game there. That's how powerful Law is. They only really need a couple of turns to regain everything. But yeah, all in all,
but to your defense, you saw the 7K Yamato attack come through. You knew the 2 of the cards, and I would have countered out of that had I had the ability to, because that's always going to be the cheaper one.
Yeah.
So you were good to recognize that, hey, I smell blood in the water, and I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, and definitely, part of it too was also just being on camera and recognizing, hey, a 9K killer swing for lethal is going to be fun. So, all right, guys. Well, that's the end of the video. If you're still here, please subscribe to the channel and consider liking the video. And if you want more content, hit the playlist on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.